Hey Bug Group team, thanks for tuning in for this month's safety video. This month we're actually going to be talking about personal protective equipment that we use on the job, otherwise known as PPE. We encounter it a lot every single day, and so we just want to make sure you guys know what we should use, when we should use it, and how to do so. And so to help me with that, I have our seasoned expert here, Suzanne Klein, who's going to talk through some of the PPE that we might have to wear and how we're going to wear it. So Suzanne, if you would just introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi all Bug Group. My name is Suzanne Klein and I'm the janitorial account manager here at Converse College in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's a small all-girls private school. The Bug Group has maintenance, janitorial, and landscaping services here at Converse.
A lot of work.
A lot of work.
All right, so the first piece of equipment that we want to dive into is something that our folks wear every single day, or they should be. And so that is actually a glove like this, which is just a nitrile glove that lots of our folks wear when they're cleaning. So Suzanne, I'll let you take it away. If you'll just tell us when should we wear these, why should we wear them, what's the point,
Sure.
and maybe how to wear them, how to take them off.
Okay, so you should wear the nitrile gloves anytime that you're encountering a situation where your skin could be exposed to chemicals or contaminants like germs, dirt, especially when you're handling trash or cleaning bathrooms. It's important to always wear them whenever you're cleaning.
Very
so
good.
The best way to put the gloves on is before you start your work. You want to go ahead and get your gloves on before you even start cleaning. Now, if I was to put this glove on and my fingernail or my jewelry was to put a hole in it, then I would need to stop what I was doing and get a fresh glove.
Good to know.
All right, so I am gloved and ready to clean.
All right, so you've cleaned a dirty bathroom or you've poured out some chemicals, you handle what you're handling, what next?
Okay, so these gloves are now contaminated, and I want to be especially careful when I remove them that I don't get the contaminants that I wore the gloves to protect myself from in the first place onto my person.
You guys will be surprised how often we see this happen. We have employees all the time who go through all the precautions to make sure they get the gloves on and they do everything they're supposed to do, and then when they get done, they forget they have the gloves on and they'll just wipe their eyebrow or scratch their arm or something. And so it's really important to remember how to take them off to make sure that we're not getting any of the contaminant on ourselves.
Right, so once I'm done cleaning, I want to make sure that I pick up the inside cuff of the glove and roll it carefully down my hand so that I'm not touching any of the exterior part of the glove. I now have a clean interior part that I can pick up the glove with and roll it right off and dispose of it.
Very good. And I think as an extra practice, anytime you're removing gloves like that, just to be safe, always best to wash your hands afterwards as well.
Absolutely.
No matter what you've been handling. So another type of glove that we might wear here at the Bug Group would be something that is actually a little bit more like this. A little thicker and something that we're looking for that has a cut-resistant quality. And the reason is sometimes we end up having to use a utility knife like this to break down boxes or other activities like that. So there are knives out there that can help with this task and make it a little safer, but most of our folks end up using knives that look just like this. So we want to take a little bit of time to put these gloves on and show you guys how to do an everyday task like breaking down a box and make sure that you have the right equipment as well as how to do that correctly. So I'll let you take it away.
All right. All right, so here is our box. And I'm going to be very careful to cut away from myself. So run along the edge, run along the edge, down the middle.
And that's all there is to it.
And that's all there is to it. Our box is now safely broken down, ready for recycle.
Extremely important to cut away from your fingers. I remember when I was about 7 years old, I was doing something with a pocket knife outside and cut right down into my finger.
Dear.
Lots of stitches, lots of blood in the emergency room. So I learned a valuable lesson that day. Always cut away from yourself. Even if there's something between the knife and your hand, you're cutting through it. So you never know what might happen.
Absolutely.
All right, well that's awesome. So that's what we needed to learn about gloves. Let's move on to the next piece of equipment.
Pro safety tip number 1. Always wear protective gloves when you're handling potential contaminants or chemicals. If you notice any holes before or after you put them on, replace them. Remember, don't touch any parts of your body with the gloves while you're cleaning. When you're finished, remove them safely and avoid touching any exterior part of the glove. Don't forget to wash your hands afterwards. Also, always wear thick, cut-resistant gloves while handling box cutters or razor blades. Be sure to cut away from your body and don't cut near your fingers, even if you're wearing gloves.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about are slip-resistant shoe covers.
Okay.
I get a ton of questions about these.
Well, these are actually really great and really important. About a third of all the accidents that happen in the bug group are people slipping and falling. So our policy at the bug group is that our employees need to wear slip-resistant shoes or shoe covers anytime they're doing wet work or are in a wet environment. So anytime they're mopping or maybe cleaning up after a rain or something like that, it's very important to wear these.
Okay. What if my employees have their own slip-resistant shoes?
I would say that that is great. I would love to see some type of documentation, like a receipt showing that they are, just to be totally sure. But the truth is, a slip-resistant shoe that actually has slip-resistant qualities is going to be even better than a cover because it's on all the time, it's tight, it's tied properly, and we don't have to worry about taking it on and off. So I think that's a great option, though I do think it's very important that we have some type of documentation. There's a lot of shoes out there that say somewhere in the description that they're slip-resistant, but they haven't actually had a slip-resistant designation on them. Just like getting steel-toe shoes. You may get something that feels like it has a hard toe, but that doesn't mean it has a steel toe in it. So it's really important to know that they are actually slip-resistant shoes. We actually would encourage people to look into shoes from Shoes for Crews, which is where we get these from.
Okay, great.
So question for you, how do you guys keep up with these at your account?
So what we do here at Converse is we keep several pairs in various sizes in all of the janitorial closets so that if anyone needs them when they're working in the building doing wet work, they can go to the closet, locate the slip-resistant covers, use them, and then return them to the closet so they're ready for the next person.
That's great. I think that's a great solution, as well as if somebody wants these and maybe they're doing wet work all the time, that's almost their sole job function, it's totally okay for our employees to keep a pair of these and wear them all the time. The only thing is we want to make sure when we're doing that, that on a daily basis we're checking and making sure that these grooves are cleared out, because sometimes they'll get clogged up with chemical or they might get clogged up with dust or debris, and if they start getting clogged up with stuff, they're not doing the job that they're supposed to do. So that's these things. I appreciate you talking about them. Let's move on to the next thing.
Great.
Pro safety tip number 2. All employees must wear slip-resistant shoes or shoe covers anytime you're working in or around wet environments. You're encouraged to wear your own slip-resistant footwear. However, make sure you have documentation of your shoe's slip-resistant quality available for your manager. If you need shoe covers, ask your manager about how to find them. And before you put them on, make sure there's no buildup in the grooves underneath the shoe cover. Also, make sure your shoe cover is the correct size and fits tightly over your personal shoes. This will prevent tripping.
So the next piece of personal protective equipment that I want to talk about is something that we also should be using on a daily basis, which is safety goggles or safety glasses. So maybe if you could put those on and we'll talk about how to wear them.
All right, so I'm going to don my safety goggles. Oh, fantastic.
Oh boy.
So
You look great.
I look pretty fabulous in these, and I think it would be pretty good if you would still wear some as well.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll put mine on
We
too.
can both look great together.
Just in case.
Right. So some of the most important things to consider when wearing safety goggles is how very critical it is to protect your vision. That's a great look. You want to make sure that any time you are pouring chemicals or there is a potential for a splash situation, that you always wear your safety goggles. And anytime you're doing cleaning above your head, pressure washing, anything like that, you always must wear your safety goggles.
That's great. Yeah, our eyes are super, super sensitive and really important. Nobody wants to go without vision. So if you're using a chemical, our chemicals in general, they're not that dangerous, but if they get in your eyes, it can really do some damage. So we want to make sure we have something to protect our eyes when we're wearing chemicals. And again, like you say, if we're working over our head with chemicals or objects, it's very easy for those things to fall and get into our eyes.
Absolutely.
So I got to be honest, I look pretty ridiculous in these, so I think I'm going to use these instead. These are just my regular reading glasses. How do you feel about that?
Unfortunately, you cannot wear those because they don't offer you any protection. They don't cover the outside. They're not splash or impact resistant.
But I do have some really big, cool sunglasses.
Yeah,
what about those?
Those are fashionable, but they also don't offer you any real protection.
That's
so
right.
Unfortunately, it's the gorgeous goggles.
That's right. Safety glasses and sometimes reading glasses as well don't have that shatterproof quality. And so if something were to fall and hit you in the eye, it could actually do more damage than wearing nothing at all. So if you have a form of glasses that you think is safety approved, approach your manager and ask them, and we can see about getting those approved and making sure you can wear those. All right, I guess on to the next thing.
All right.
Safety tip number 3. In order to protect your eyes, safety goggles must be worn if you're handling any chemical or contaminant. This includes work that involves a splashing of fluid or working above your head, such as in high dusting situations. Prescription glasses, reading glasses, and sunglasses won't protect your eyes, and they can't be worn in place of safety goggles. If you have your own pair of safety goggles, you must provide documentation of their safety-approved qualities to your manager beforehand.
All right, so what other equipment do you want to talk about?
Actually, I'd like to talk about dust masks.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about them?
I absolutely would love to. So this is the only type of dust mask that we really should be wearing at the bug group. If we're in a situation where there's a harmful chemical in the air or maybe a harmful dust in the air that requires us to wear a respirator, the manager would actually know that, and we have a whole process that's separate from this. So really the point of wearing these is if something's just agitating you and you feel more comfortable wearing one. And so there's not a lot to it. All you need to do is, I like to pre-pinch the nose a little bit and then just slip it on, pull it over, and then go ahead and pinch that nose to make sure that you're getting a nice seal, and that's all there is to it. Again, a dust mask like this is really made for big particles and dust and is not going to do a lot to keep out small particles. So this is really just to help with agitation, or maybe if you were doing some high dusting and you had some big stuff fall on, you just don't want to get anything in your mouth. That's really when we should be wearing stuff like this. All right, what's next?
Pro safety tip number 4. If you're concerned of any dust or large particles in the air, dust masks are provided for anyone who wishes to wear it. If there's a harmful chemical or dust in the air that requires a more serious mask, such as a respirator, contact your manager. Dust masks won't protect you from small or harmful particles. After you've placed the dust mask on your face, be sure to pinch the metal nose strip to complete the seal of the mask.
Okay, so I do have one last thing.
Okay.
Hearing protection.
Okay.
Should my employees be using these?
That is a great question. So as you know, here we're doing maintenance and landscaping work, and I would say it's more important that those guys are wearing them. There are probably circumstances where your folks might want to wear hearing protection. I would say the good rule of thumb is if you feel like you should be wearing hearing protection, it's totally okay to wear it. Hearing protection is great. What this does, what these things do, is they actually reduce the decibels that your ears are hearing, okay? And so that is going to prolong your hearing. Our ears are only made to withstand a certain frequency and a certain level of sound. A decibel is kind of measuring the level of sound.
Okay.
And these are going to silence it a little bit, as everybody knows, because they've worn these things. They know that it gets a little bit quieter. And so anytime we're doing something that has a long, especially a long, loud, monotonous sound, or quick bursts of sound, that's when we want to make sure we're wearing earplugs. So if we're using a really loud vacuum, maybe we would want to wear it then. Our landscapers want to make sure they're wearing it when they're using pretty much any of the equipment that they use. And it's going to definitely help prolong their hearing. Our hearing is something that's a little less like our vision, for instance. You know, your vision, if you get something in your eye, all of a sudden, you know, you may not be able to see anymore,
Right.
but our hearing is slowly over time, after exposing it to loud noises for long periods of time, it can start to fade, and we can start to lose some of that hearing ability. So I think these are a great solution for our team. Now, I will say, sometimes our folks wear these and they're not doing much good because they just stick them in like this, and they kind of have a Shrek look going, you know, and they just kind of have them sticking out. And that's not really doing anything. I can hear everything exactly as I
Right.
could on these. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we roll them up really tight, and then we're just going to gently place it in our ears. We're not going to shove it down in there, but when you roll it up, it'll allow them to go down in the ears and expand. And even as I'm talking now, everything's
gotten quiet.
A little bit quieter, that's right. Sometimes people start talking really loud when they have them in too, and that's okay. So that's how we want to wear them. A big question we get about these is, well, what if my employees want to wear earbuds or music?
Absolutely.
And I would say this definitely affects your employees.
Yes.
So even if we're not requiring them to wear earplugs, we do not want them wearing earbuds all day. It's actually bad for their ears. Because just like listening to a lawnmower or a blower or something like that is a long exposure to sound, so is listening to your favorite band all day long while you work. So really important that we're don't have earbuds in. They're certainly not a replacement, and they can even make things worse. So that's earbuds. I think that covers everything we had to cover. So
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you being here. I love seeing your campus. You guys are doing a wonderful job, and I look forward to getting back here soon.
Great.
Pro safety tip number 5. Loud, prolonged noise can be really bad for your hearing, and hearing protection can help reduce the strengths of these sounds and noises, and they're highly encouraged to be worn. These are provided to any employee who wishes to wear them. To properly apply the earbuds, make sure you squish down the earbud just enough so that it fits down into your ear canal. Once they've been placed, they'll expand, fill the canal, and help reduce the decibels of these frequencies. Wearing music headphones and listening to music while working can be dangerous as well, and are not a substitute for proper ear protection. These are not permitted for work.